This man is unusual. A thief broke in and hit his son, yet he could only apologize, not daring to fight back. But when the thief took his daughter's cat bracelet, he went straight to the thief's house, knocked out his teeth, and demanded the watch and bracelet back. The woman quickly handed over the watch, but the bracelet was nowhere to be found, exposing Hutch's rage. Then, the sound of a baby crying came from the room. It turns out the couple's child has a congenital illness, and they stole only to save the child. Hutch reluctantly let them go, returning home, seething with anger. It was the last bus, and the streets were nearly empty. At that moment, a group of drunken thugs got off an SUV after hitting a bus, stumbling onto the bus themselves. While they acted rudely, Hutch outwardly remained calm, secretly thrilled inside. The passengers left one by one, and a thug came up to a girl, giving Hutch a dismissive look. Hutch grinned slyly, standing up. He then reassured an older woman to leave, closed the door, and took out a revolver, emptying its bullets.
I'm gonna fuck you up.
This seemed to be Hutch's big moment, but he was immediately punched. Perhaps he needed some anger to awaken a different side of himself. Hutch was beaten continuously, shoved against a dirty battery compartment, and attacked from behind. No one expected Hutch's resilience. Though slow, he met every move head-on. One thug pulled out a knife, stabbing Hutch in the back. Outnumbered, Hutch was kicked across the room. In a few moves, however, the thugs were more battered than him, and the real fight was just starting. He pulled the knife from his body, now resembling a beast in a cage. They finally managed to throw him onto the bed. The thugs complained. One's nose was broken, another's tooth knocked out. Hutch was obviously professionally trained. Rather than flee, he staggered back to the car, startling them. He cut the seatbelt, tied it around his hands, and told the girl to leave. With nothing left, the thugs fought to the death, while Hutch only grew stronger, beating them mercilessly. Spotting a handgun on the ground, Hutch calmly broke a handlebar. While he didn't intend to kill, his final hit left his opponent unconscious. He hesitated for a moment, picked up a straw from the ground, cut a slit with the knife, and inserted the straw. The thug finally caught his breath. Unexpectedly, the thug didn't survive, and he was the younger brother of the local mafia boss. This mob boss, Julian, was ruthless and influential in both the underworld and legitimate circles. Hearing it was an ordinary man who killed his brother, Julian flew into a rage, vowing to find this man. Meanwhile, another thug found Hutch's bus pass. After the previous night's incident, Hutch's mood improved significantly. His son asked about the bruises on his face, and he praised his son's bravery for standing up to a bully. Then, Hutch's contact called, warning him about the big trouble he'd stirred and advising him to meet with the barber for a discussion. That afternoon, his contact messaged again, urging him to meet the barber. Hutch arrived at an intelligence hub, where a bald man handed him a file. Julian was a Russian with extensive resources, controlling billions in mafia funds. Meanwhile, Julian was investigating Hutch, only to find an ordinary citizen with a lifetime factory job. But how could an average man take on 6 men with deadly accuracy? Using Pentagon connections, Julian's assistant checked Hutch's name. The system denied access, hinting at a complex background. After further searching, the assistant found Hutch's records, immediately shut down her computer, and left with her bag. Julian remained unaware of the danger and ordered his men to capture Hutch alive. That evening, as Hutch's family ate, he noticed unfamiliar cars parked outside, sensing they were after him. He quickly sent his family to the basement, instructing his wife not to open the door or call the police. Armed hitmen stealthily approached as Hutch cut the power, shrouding the house in darkness. Hiding in a corner, Hutch struck with a rod, deflecting their shots before snapping the rod and swiftly taking down 2 men. He moved through the house like a ghost, dispatching several more, wiping the blood from his hands. Surprisingly, he grabbed a machine gun and opened fire on the rest, but a side attack caught him off guard. Using various household items, Hutch fought off the intruders. Suddenly, he was electrocuted and woke up in the trunk of a car, handcuffed. Without hesitation, he dislocated his thumb to escape the cuffs, then reset his joint despite the pain. Seeing the car was speeding, he grabbed a fire extinguisher, kicked down the back seat and sprayed it wildly. Hutch climbed out of the car, asked a few questions, and quickly ran home. Not wanting to frighten his family with his bloody appearance, he took a hot shower and changed clothes before opening the basement door. His wife and son looked shocked, barely recognizing him. He sent them away to stay somewhere safe, knowing that this battle needed a decisive end. Hutch burned down the house, borrowed a car from a neighbor, and called his father, informing him that things had escalated and to prepare. Hutch wasn't too worried. as his father had taught him everything he knew. Soon, 2 assassins arrived at the nursing home, targeting the elderly man. Just as one was about to shoot, a caregiver was alerted by the sound and rushed over. From his perspective, it looked like the old man was just watching TV, and he reminded him to keep the noise down. Hutch was also a top agent, who had unfortunately crossed the local Mafia boss. The boss sent a team of elite assassins, all of whom Hutch defeated. After burning down his house, Hutch was ready to counterattack. He used his stash of gold to buy his workplace factory. Preparing for the big showdown, he cut steel rods, sharpened bullets, tuned hidden weapons, and drilled holes for grenades. The low-level guards were easily defeated, and he wiped out the entire vault in minutes, pouring gasoline into the fire sprinkler system. As gasoline sprayed evenly across the floor, he set it ablaze, turning hundreds of millions of dollars into ashes. At a nightclub, the mob boss Julian was singing on stage when he spotted Hutch calmly eating a steak in the audience. Julian slowly approached. Hutch had already prepared a directional bomb powerful enough to blow up the entire building. He wanted a private talk with Julian, and Hutch informed him that all the assassins he sent had failed, and he had just burned all their cash. Hutch suggested they could walk away and never cross paths again if Julian was tired of his current life. Hutch would wait outside for his decision. However, Julian couldn't accept such humiliation. Julian came out, mobilizing all his men to hunt Hutch down. Hutch floored the gas, performing a stylish U-turn, taunting Julian with a close pass. A high-speed chase ensued, with Hutch leading the enemies back to his factory. Amidst the gunfire, Hutch took a shot to the shoulder as the enemies kept firing. At that moment, a sniper rifle appeared from the second floor. It was his father's old friend Black, who took down enemies with precision. Hutch's father, armed with a shotgun, also joined the fight, and under heavy fire, the two retreated indoors. The old man relished the firefight, working seamlessly with Hutch. Soon, a large group of enemies entered, and Hutch triggered a switch, causing a hydraulic press to crush grenades, resulting in a massive explosion. The rest of the team rushed upstairs, only to accidentally trigger a trap. More enemies remained. Black continued advancing, taking out 3 in one sweep, while Hutch's father kept clearing enemies on the lower floor. Hutch retreated slowly toward a hidden mechanism he had set up behind a door. The keen assassin carefully opened the door, only to be caught in a brutal trap. A set of steel rods shot out, taking down several more thugs in a bloody display. The 3 finally regrouped, with only the crazed Julian remaining. They were out of bullets, but Julian advanced, holding a gun, while Hutch prepared his final grenade, sticking it to a piece of bulletproof glass. He held the glass as a shield, advancing toward Julian while biting down on the grenade pin, ready for a final showdown. All 3 emerged unscathed. Despite years of retirement, they had triumphed with teamwork. This was the thrill of camaraderie among men. Hutch told the other 2 to leave while he cleaned up the aftermath. The police took Hutch in for questioning. How could a factory worker single-handedly defeat an entire mafia gang? Who was he, really? Hutch simply replied, "I'm just a nobody." Just then, both officers received calls simultaneously, their eyes widening in shock. They were stunned into silence upon learning Hutch's true identity. The vice president himself had arranged his release.